This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
And welcome to the WWE Podcast, everybody. It is Sunday, October 2nd, 2022. And thank you, everyone, for joining me as we are going to talk about everything this week in WWE. It is also Extreme Rules Week, which means we've got a lot of coverage, a lot of shows. The Mailbag Takeover show with Mr. and Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan is coming your way this week. Maybe even a live show. We'll see. I know that many of you enjoyed that format for the mailbag last week, and I did too. I definitely did. I thought it was refreshing and just was really cool to interact live, and there's no delay, and I really think I may do that more often. So be on the lookout for that. If you are interested in wondering if I'm going to do it and you're like, how will I know? Follow us on Twitter at wrestling_audio. I'll try to keep it up on the show as well with like news at the beginning of the show, and also on Patreon. If you're a Patreon member, then you'll be notified probably before anybody else. So speaking of Patreon, I want to welcome our latest patron, Domenico Antonio. Domenico. Oh my gosh. Sorry. It's very late. Domenico Antonio. I'm guessing you go by Dom. Thank you for joining us here on the WWE Podcast family. So we've got a lot to get to, and let's not wait, because with Extreme Rules, less than a week away now, 6 days, I'm still getting used to the Saturday events. I would imagine that they are permanently Saturdays unless otherwise noted. And I'm not complaining about that. There are some benefits to having a Saturday event. You don't have to worry about going to work the next day for most of us, not all of us. And, Sundays are just more difficult for most people. And I think that it's a better format, and I haven't heard too many complaints about the Saturday format. And looking at Extreme Rules, there's a lot of cool stuff coming up, and WWE did some nice kind of catch-up work on filling out the card. I think we have five matches. And it's enough for a pay-per-view. I'd imagine they might add one more match in there, given that we don't have anything going on with Austin Theory or Kevin Owens or Johnny Gargano. I would think that they're going to add something in there. I was of the belief that they were going to do a triple threat for the Money in the Bank briefcase or something, and that still could happen. But I think the time for that is running out, and we only have this week for Monday Night Raw and SmackDown to fill in any additional matches. And by the way, the official preview and prediction show will be coming to you probably on Thursday. It's going to be a very, very busy week for me. I'm actually going into the office physically a lot this week for my big boy job. So things may be late this week. I'm going to try not to make that happen, but it's just a stretch for time. I mean, I don't really record usually until 10, 11 o'clock at night and get done by midnight, and then I'm up by 5 a.m. So it's a tough schedule. I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just giving you guys the reality of it, and I'm going to try my best to get everything to you, given it's we're going to call it a pay-per-view week. I'm sticking with pay-per-view. I can't get over the phrase. It's just but it just flows better than premium live event. It feels like way too much of a mouthful. All right, so let's talk about something. Let's talk right about Bray Wyatt. Let's get into what a lot of people are talking about. Bray Wyatt. Now, for somebody that's not confirmed to be anywhere, he is the most talked about guy without even showing his face right now. And do I think that all of these QR codes and the signs that are being held up on SmackDown, something about something about who you are, some kind of cryptic message. Do I think that all these things are adding up to Bray Wyatt? The answer, I think it's Lily. No, I'm kidding. That would be, imagine Imagine if it's Lily or it's just like Alexa Bliss again or something, or it's just like Edge going into a darker character. Imagine the reaction. I'd like to see WWE do that just to troll the fans and just see what they do. But short answer, yes. Do I think it's Bray Wyatt? Yes. I'm not trying to be smarter than anybody else. It can't be anything else. And at this point, they can't do anything else, even if it was someone else, because the expectation has been set by fans that it is Bray Wyatt. And it can be no one else other than Bray Wyatt. If it is somebody else other than Bray Wyatt, WWE has a big problem on their hands with that person getting a positive reaction. Again, hashtag it's Wyatt or we riot, because they have now backed themselves into a corner with the white rabbit and the QR codes and all that, all the kind of scrambled screen stuff that the announcers haven't even acknowledged yet, by the way. If you've noticed, they've ignored everything, I believe. I don't think they've even said, I don't know what that was. Like, they're not even acknowledging it. So, but that's fine. Doesn't mean it make it any less real. But I don't know if it's going to be Bray Wyatt debuting, re-debuting, or returning at Extreme Rules, or if they're going to wait for another event or two longer. Honestly, they could wait longer. The patience of fans would be stretched thin, but it'd be worth the payoff if you have someone great for him to work with right off the bat. And it could be Roman Reigns. Why not stretch it a little bit longer? The reason is Roman Reigns is not competing at Extreme Rules. Not that that shocks many people, but for Saudi Arabia to get that return, would I be surprised? No. Would it make the U.S. fans and every other, non-Saudi Arabian fan pissed? Probably. Because, let's face it, Saudi Arabia is basically using their dollar bills to create their fantasy card lineup. And WWE is just letting them do it. And I'm not faulting them for that. First of all, let me just first and foremost say I'm not faulting them for that. And while we're on Saudi Arabia, I want to touch on one thing here. I recently created a TikTok yesterday. It was a bit of a quick rant. I was actually half drunk. The reason is it's not because I'm sitting at home sad and hate my life. I was at a wedding and I had to go back to the car for something, and I'm like, I'm going to sit here for a minute. And I just kind of scrolled through TikTok, and I came across Chris Van Vliet, who I actually have had on this show before. Great guy. And in one of his TikToks, he put up a snip of his show saying, I don't understand the hate for Logan Paul. I just, I don't get it. The guy comes in and he's had 2 matches and he's really shown out both times, and fans love it. And it's really pretty simple. Okay. The fans have turned on Logan Paul simply for the fact that he doesn't belong in the championship picture. It has nothing to do with the fact that he hasn't proven to us he's going to take this seriously. That's just your entry level respect. That's just like basement level. Okay, we don't have to hate you and roll our eyes, and you're going to treat this like, kind of a side project. It seems like he takes it seriously. He put on a great match, and at least for his level, and props to him. The problem for fans becomes when you suddenly thrust him into the championship picture, when guys that have been there 20 times as long haven't even got an opportunity, and yet this guy walks in because he's got a bunch of social media followers, and WWE shoots him to the moon. Now, on one hand, as a fan, it's ridiculous. The fans should turn on this, and they should boo Logan Paul, really just kind of booing the company. He's just the figurehead for it and the decision for it. But on the other hand, I understand why they're doing it. Saudi Arabia is the one really calling the shots here because of the godlike money that they have. And they're just throwing these wads of money at WWE, and they're just gobbling it up, right? Like hungry hippos. And I think that we have to understand that as fans that, okay, this makes no sense. Nobody wants to see this. And I can't wait to hear the reaction, by the way, on SmackDown next week when Logan Paul and Roman Reigns are in the ring to see what the reaction is going to be. It's going to be bad for Logan Paul, and they have to kind of give him that heads up. Like, look, this match isn't for here. We just have to put it on the show to make it, to start to promote it. And it's going to be a bad day at the office for, I think, the Logan Paul supporters. But as fans, again, my point is, I don't mean to ramble about this because we got a lot to talk about, but I wanted to touch on this, that if you don't understand the hate for Logan Paul, it's very simple to understand. I just did explain it. But I also understand from a WWE's perspective and from a business perspective that you have to take this. You have to take what Saudi Arabia wants within reason, because the money is what you're after. You're a for-profit organization, and it's that you know that it's going to be a decent match. Logan Paul has negative 50% chance of winning, but that's not the point. Fans just don't believe he's anywhere near the level of that championship match, much less at a Saudi Arabia event, headlining the show, all that kind of nowhere near that. That's the problem. It's that he just doesn't belong in that spot right now, and that's the rejection boos that you're hearing. That's all. And the WWE knows that this, they're just going to grin and bear it, collect their massive check from the Saudi Arabian government and the prince, and smile all the way to the bank, and then fans will forget about it, and no harm, no foul. So, but my point is, all the way to Bray Wyatt here, could he debut at the event in Saudi Arabia at Crown Jewel? Could he? Yes, I think he could. I don't want him to. I'd rather have him do it in a place that I feel is more foundationally based for WWE. I don't want it in a overseas event that a lot of fans honestly don't watch. But just out of just for the politics of the Saudi Arabian government or the blood money that whole thing, all that, we've heard it all, right, with the Saudi Arabia event. But he could debut there, and he could do it after Roman Reigns defeats Logan Paul. I could see Bray Wyatt coming out and attacking Roman Reigns, and then it's Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns at the Survivor Series event. I know I predicted Seth, but Bray Wyatt is a whole new animal. And the reason I say that is Bray Wyatt is a guy that lost the Universal Championship to Roman Reigns in the triple threat match at SummerSlam 2020. So why couldn't he blame Roman Reigns for the downward spiral of the Fiend? It's possible. It's logical. Just something to think about. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that was a long ramble to say it's possible, but it's also likely at Extreme Rules. It depends what happens over the next couple weeks. It feels like it's a little too early. I wouldn't mind them stringing us along a little bit longer. So, okay, let's get to more of something that actually did happen this week in WWE, because I talked about things that are just rumor and innuendo, as MJF would say. So let's see what happened on SmackDown. Let's cover SmackDown first, and then we'll just very briefly touch on Monday Night Raw. And on SmackDown, I thought it was a decent show. You know what I want to talk about? I want to talk about Ronda Rousey and Liv Morgan. Let's start there. I thought that Ronda Rousey cut a decent promo backstage, saying she's the most dangerous unarmed woman in the world. Imagine what I can do when you put what'd she say, kendo stick or a weapon or something in my hand, right? It was good. So for all the kind of awkwardness that Ronda Rousey has and her sideways smiles and smirks that she does, and adjusting her spandex pants that ride up her ass 58 times a minute in matches, beyond all that, I mean, that was a solid promo, and the fans seem to be behind her. So whatever that turn on Liv Morgan was at the last event, it didn't do much to have the fans boo Ronda Rousey. They're still behind her, which makes me sad. But we had this Natalya and Ronda Rousey match that you knew Natalya was there to just elevate Ronda, to get them back in the minds of fans, and also remind fans that she has a ankle lock submission. It's not just the armbar. So that's something that she wanted to add and reestablish, and it's a good reminder that she just doesn't use the armbar and she's not a one-trick pony. That was good. So I think the match was a little bit short, but did you really expect a classic? No, I didn't. So, after this though, that's really what the whole point of this segment was to bring Liv Morgan out, and they brawled for a while, and we got the good old pull apart. There's been a lot of pull aparts, by the way, almost too many. Triple H seems to love them, and I understand the attraction of them, but I feel like the volume of pull aparts is a little excessive at this point. It didn't take away. It's just like, oh, another pull apart. Okay, somebody's going to break away and start tagging. It's just going to end up in a stalemate. No one's going to get the advantage. It's just kind of back and forth and let them fight. It's the same thing. But it was fine. It showed Liv Morgan had an aggressive side. That's also the narrative they've been pushing, is that Liv Morgan doesn't have an extreme side, all that stuff. Which, yeah, I mean, Liv Morgan doesn't exactly look dangerous, I'll say that, as compared to, Ronda Rousey and what she's accomplished. But do I think Liv Morgan has turned heel? No. Even what she did last week with Lacey Evans, I don't think she has, because while Lacey Evans has also kind of been lost in the sauce and we forgot about her backstory, and I guess we weren't cheering her enough. Remember that whole thing that started a couple months ago that just went nowhere, and now Lacey Evans is back to not talking and just losing matches. It's weird what they're doing. Lacey Evans is a weird career. I don't know what to make of Lacey Evans. That's a whole case study, but that's another topic for a rainy day. The whole Liv Morgan beatdown that she gave Lacey Evans last week was to just push the narrative or push the idea that Liv Morgan does have a vicious side. And, so she beat Lacey with a kendo stick, and then she did the senton on her on the table. And, it's like, all right, cool. Like, we really don't see a lot out of Liv Morgan like that, but I don't think that really turned her heel. And the reason is because Lacey Evans was not a babyface at the time. If it was somebody like Aaliyah or somebody that's kind of this kind of milquetoast, little, maybe I guess mildly accepted or mildly beloved babyface that could take a beating like that, then you could say maybe they turned her heel. Maybe that's some evidence. I don't see it yet. Now, that's not to say they won't do that at Extreme Rules. They very well could, and actually the crowd may do it for them, which is just so crazy because I want Ronda as a heel, but it doesn't look like we're going to get it right now anyway. So, okay, so let's talk about Hit Row versus Los Lotharios. So, this didn't do a whole lot for me, and I'm a little bit sad of what they've done with Hit Row. I was glad to see Triple H bring them back, and you know what? They got the victory here. They haven't done a whole lot of talking, and maybe that's for the best, because every time they talk, it feels like they just they are literally reading in front of a script in front of their face. They don't have a great delivery, at least, especially Top Dollar. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but every time I hear him talk, it doesn't make me super excited for the group. And that's not to say he's not talented in the ring. In the ring, I think that Top Dollar can do things that he shouldn't be able to do with his size. The one hilarious part this week was Michael Cole, who couldn't stop laughing because Top Dollar tried to do some kind of roll through, and it was hilarious because Michael Cole was saying, "What is that? What was that?" It was pretty funny because it was a very unathletic roll through. It was kind of like a backward somersault that he did to try to get back up, and it just did not look good at all. But hey, Top Dollar is super strong. He's got his spot where 2 and 3 guys jump on him, and he's super, super strong, and that's great. And he does feel like he's got some charisma, but I don't know who or what they're about. If you didn't follow them at all in NXT or anything, and all you know is Hit Row, and you've got Ashanti the Adonis, you've got Top Dollar and BFAB. Honestly, when I hear those names, I feel like I need a glossary or some kind of index. I want a definition for those names. Like, what are they supposed to mean? I don't know. They just kind of feel like leftover, mid-90s rapper names that never made the cut. Not that they're bad names. I just don't know what they mean. Do they have to mean something? Yeah, because they're unique names. I'm assuming BFAB means Be Fabulous, shortened. Maybe that's what the kids say now. And Top Dollar, if I was to assign a definition, it'd be that his ability is worth top dollar, right? DOLLAR, not A, I guess. And Ashanti the Adonis, I have no idea what that means. What's an Adonis? Ashanti is a cool name. What's the Adonis? Why isn't it Ashanti Donis? Or, it just feels, I don't know. I just feel like I need some kind of acronym definition every time that I see these guys. And they're cool names, but all joking aside, I don't know what they stand for. They put out some raps. They're kind of like they're a less charismatic version of the Street Profits. That's what they are. They're kind of a less charismatic version of them. And I'm not writing them off. I think it's a good move to bring them back. I don't feel much for them. But they got the victory here against Hit Row, or rather against Los Lotharios. And it was okay. The match wasn't super good. It was all right. That's all. Okay. Then we get Drew McIntyre versus Austin Theory. And the match, it was short-lived. So I wasn't super big on the match because it was very, very short-lived. And McIntyre, or rather Alpha Academy, got themselves involved, which caused a DQ. Johnny Gargano rushed the ring, and then we got Kevin Owens coming out to a huge pop, and then the babyfaces cleared them out of the ring, and you knew this was going to lead to a 6-man tag, but that's fine. Predictability is okay if it's the right thing to do, and that's it. I mean, we got the 6-man tag, but at the end of the show, it was good, except I feel like Austin Theory, and I'll get more to this later, is really starting to lose some luster. I mean, he was unstoppable for a while, and then he has not done much as of late. He's done nothing but lose and lose and lose, which makes me think he's losing that Money in the Bank briefcase. And I'm big on Theory. I like Austin Theory. I think, I'm not going to pretend I didn't say that. He is one of the best stars that WWE has, the best young stars, not biggest, but best up-and-coming stars that they have. Great in the ring. I think the mic skills for him are what set him apart from just kind of the Ricochets of the world, where they're super athletic, but they've got no personality. Austin Theory has personality. You kind of know where he stands. The problem, though, is his booking, because he can talk a great game, no doubt, and he's ahead of his class in terms of promos. But when it comes to WWE backing up his words, that's the problem. There's a conflict of interest there where WWE continues to have him lose, yet Austin Theory talks a big game. And that's fine, except the problem is that when you consistently do that, the booking will overshadow the mouth of Austin Theory, because no matter what he says or how good of a promo he cuts or how convincing he may be, that WWE is going to not follow suit with the narrative of whatever he's saying. That's the problem. And I think it's starting to get to that point where Austin Theory he talks a good game, but I'm starting to already go in, he's losing the match. If he's part of a team, he's taking the pinfall. And I don't know if I like thinking like that, but okay. Okay, so McIntyre defeats Theory, but by DQ. So is it really a win for McIntyre? I don't know. We also got what was I going to say? Oh, Sami Zayn and Jey Uso. I need to talk about this. This is becoming one of the really more interesting subplot lines that WWE's had in a while. And it's always been there. It's always been kind of simmering underneath the surface of the overshadowing storyline, which of course is Roman Reigns and who he's facing next and all that, which has become, as we all know, very formulaic and just kind of predictable that Roman's going to win. But what's making this feel fresh and fun is Sami Zayn and Jey Uso. They have a nice chemistry together. Jey Uso feels like he genuinely doesn't trust Sami. He's very convincing in his acting. Jey Uso is doing an excellent job in his body language. Even last week when Roman embraced him, if you look at Jey Uso's face, it's kind of like, oh, all right, yeah, I'll go with this for now, but I still don't trust this MFer, right? That's kind of what it is. And this week he called Sami Zayn out. And Jey Uso said that you may have my family fooled, but you don't have me fooled. Me fooled. I see straight through you. I see right through you. And that was very interesting to me. Not that he actually said it out loud, which was, it was nice to actually hear about what's going on in his head instead of just always acting angry. But the more important to me, the more fascinating response was from Sami, who actually kind of grew a set and didn't bow down to Jey. Instead, knowing that he had the backing of the tribal chief, said, excuse me, Jey, I need to get into our locker room. Just completely like shoving Jey aside. And he didn't deny, by the way, that he is essentially trying to hurt Roman Reigns' family and all that he's actually undermining the group. He didn't outright deny it. He just kind of dismissed Jey and said he needs to go to our locker room and just, went in. But that's the more interesting part to me, is that was the first time for me that I saw Sami Zayn grow a set in a long time. It was just kind of a quick little tease, just a glimpse of, like a flash of light of his babyface turn, and I can't wait for it. This is leading to something big with Jey and Sami Zayn, and I can't wait to see where it leads. I've been on board for that since day one, because I like how not everyone's just accepting of Sami Zayn into this group that is, by definition, should only be family, i.e. blood, and yet Sami Zayn is here in a group that's only family by blood. It's very bizarre, but it's fun and it fits. So Sami Zayn to me is the MVP of keeping this storyline interesting. And I look forward to his segments every week. Whatever he's got to do, the segments with Jey. So I think this is leading to eventual split with Jey and Sami, and really the bloodline and Sami Zayn. So once Jey Uso will be right. I really do believe Jey Uso, he's going to try to convince Roman, convince Jimmy, convince the wise man, convince Solo. But it won't work. No one's going to listen to him until Sami Zayn does something that's this impossible not to think is a turn on the bloodline. Maybe that's trying to cost Roman a championship. Maybe he does cost Roman a championship, but we'll see. To me, also, there's evidence when you look at Kevin Owens, who was backstage this week, by the way, inexplicably. You also, how many people came over this past week from Raw? Bianca Belair, the Raw Women's Champion, just decided to come over. With again, no acknowledgement, no quarterly invitational, no wild card rule, none of that. It's just people are there, and we all just need to accept it and shut up. But to me, the other interesting part with Sami was Kevin Owens wandering around backstage and not just dealing with the Maximum Male models and their record pose, which was weird. We'll see what Max Dupree does, by the way. I have no idea what he's going to do, but he's clearly done very quickly with this Maximum Male model group, which is kind of sad. I enjoyed that group. And I'm not kidding either. I oddly did. But Kevin Owens went up to Sami Zayn and he said that, he said, like, what's up? And then he said, you should get a better shirt, or you should change your shirt. Meaning that's not who you are. We know who you are. I know who you can be. Stop pretending to be a part of something you're not and wake up. That's the message that I think we got from Kevin Owens to Sami Zayn in that exchange. And what I think is going to happen is, the more I think about it, there's two scenarios here. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are either going to team up at some point in the next 2 to 3 months. And once the Usos, here's the key. The Usos need to break the New Day's record, and they will. And they're more deserving than the New Day is of that. And when they do, then it's all systems go for Kevin and Sami Zayn challenging the Usos and having Sami Zayn finally go full tilt, turning on the Usos and being a massive babyface team, taking out the Usos, becoming new undisputed tag team champions. That, I think, is a distinct possibility. The other possibility is Kevin Owens finds his way into a one-on-one matchup with Roman Reigns, and then Sami Zayn appears that he's trying to help Roman, but really you can make a stronger case that he's trying to help Kevin win the match. The Bloodline questions him. They beat him down. They leave him bloody and battered. Kevin tries to save him. Doesn't work. That's honestly what I think is possible too. There's two scenarios there. And I really strongly believe it's going to be one of them. All right, let's move on here. Let's talk Imperium. They beat down Sheamus and Shotzi versus Bayley. We'll get to Shotzi and Bayley. So Imperium beat Sheamus, and I really like Imperium. First of all, if you guys haven't seen Imperium's entrance, I mean, take a moment, just listen to the music and listen to that just the walk listen to the walk. Listen to the music that they have, because I think it's music that is better than people realize. It's imposing, it's serious, it's straightforward, there's no nonsense. I don't know, this week I just had an epiphany that I really like, not just them as a group, but also their music. But they all came out. We had, of course, Gunther. We had Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. Giovanni Vinci? It's a weird name. It doesn't flow. It's like half of a name. But they all came out, and they were quickly interrupted by Sheamus, who didn't have Butch or Ridge Holland because of the hurricane, I guess. Bayley also didn't have her group with her, but because of the hurricane in Florida. But this was a fun segment because we got Sheamus to get a little bit of taste of Gunther. We got them to brawl a little bit in advance for their matchup next week at the season premiere of SmackDown. The best part of this to me was the Sheamus toughness. Like, he got beat down and then afterwards ran his mouth, and then Imperium came back out and then nailed him with a shillelagh. And it was another element to Sheamus that it showed you he's a tough guy, that, you know, he doesn't back away from a fight, and he's turned organically babyface because he feels kind of like Sami Zayn, where fans have had so many years to boo him, and the "you look stupid" chants and all that stuff. That's forgotten. I mean, fans are ready to embrace this guy, and the magic that he and Gunther put on is just amazing. And I think next week, while I don't think it'll live up to their match, they just had their first match, because it's an impossible standard to reach, and I don't think it's fair for us to expect them to get to that level. It'll still be a, B+, A- match. That's kind of what I'm going for. Just a very good to maybe great, but probably very good match. B+. That's what I'm going to go for. Because if you think it's going to be a 5-star classic, those aren't a guarantee at all, ever. So, okay. Then we got Shotzi versus Bayley. This was a good match. I thought that having Bayley beat Shotzi made sense. Shotzi this might have just been her biggest match in her career, even though it wasn't a women's championship match or anything like that. But maybe it's because she brought out that stupid tank again. I don't need her coming out in a Power Wheels tank with a Nerf gun attached to it. That looks like a toy that you'd give, your son at 8 or 9 or 10 years old. It looks silly. And the reason that Michael Cole gave, if you caught this, well, it's supposed to represent Shotzi mowing down her competition. What? What? So somebody in the ring is supposed to be suddenly just completely overwhelmed with fear by looking at the Power Wheels tank that's, about 1% of the actual size of a tank, and go, oh no, oh boy, she's symbolizing to me with those Nerf guns that she's gonna mow me down, guys. Come on. I was so glad when they got rid of that stupid tank. I know that some of you guys love it, and that's cool. I thought it was childish. I thought it takes away. It feels gimmicky. They're coming out with the hard hats. Just get your ass to the ring. I don't need this gimmicky. That's way over gimmicked, way overthought. I just never liked it. And then she brought it back, and I'm like, no, it was like just a nightmare. But in the ring, Shotzi's, I think, really good. I think she had a really good match with Bayley. She hit the Rose Plant. The Rose Plant, I gotta say, needs some work. It looks, it's weird saying this about Bayley. It looks sloppy. All right. The Rose Plant is a sloppy maneuver. It just is. I don't know why she can't come up with some other finish. Maybe like the X Factor, X-Pac. When's the last time someone used a face buster as a finish? There's things you can do besides the Rose Plant. Like, what exactly is that? It's kind of like a inverted DDT. It's weird. I don't know what to make of it. I don't like it. Maybe because it hasn't been executed very well. Every time she does it, it's almost never looks good. I feel weird saying that about Bayley, but it's not a good finish because it feels like it's really difficult to take and make it look good. And it just doesn't look good ever. So, all right. Let's see here. We then get McIntyre, Kevin Owens, and Johnny Gargano versus Theory and Alpha Academy. Not a long match, but a good match. We got McIntyre, Gargano, and Owens winning here against Theory and Alpha Academy. And then after the match, McIntyre whipped Theory to put over the leather strap match against Karrion Kross, Extreme Rules. Yeah, the match was fine. It was overused super kicks, which Shawn Michaels must be just completely losing his mind about. I mean, he won't ever say it publicly, but the fact that Shawn Michaels used that as a finishing maneuver for like 20 years, and then everyone that competes in a ring now has to use a super kick as a transition move and do double super kicks, and it's just super kick needs to go away. I don't know, but that's my rant. Other than that, it was a good match. I think that Otis played his part well, being the huge man of the group and selling things the right way. It was a fun match, and the video package that was done with McIntyre and Cross earlier in the night was also very good. Very good. Karrion Kross has a nice look to him, the kind of crazy eyes, and he's got a nice presence, and his logic is sound of why he's attacking McIntyre, and having Scarlett in the background just kind of staring on is also just a nice visual. It was just an overall, it was a good show. It didn't blow me away. There were some down spots, no doubt about it. By the way, we also got Ricochet and Madcap Moss versus Sami Zayn and Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa wins. So, yeah, there's that. That's all you need to know about that. Okay, Solo Sikoa ends up winning. And he's got just this nasty, mean look already. It feels like Solo Sikoa could be part of the cartel, doesn't it? That's a scary thing. So, yeah. All right. So, what else happened here? I want to talk quickly about Raw just as a reminder of what happened on Raw. We got the, let's see here, AJ Styles versus Sami Zayn match. Then ended up Sami Zayn winning. Matt Riddle versus Damian Priest, with Matt Riddle getting the victory there. We got Omos in a squash match, and then Doudrop versus Candice LeRae. Candice LeRae is back. And Johnny Gargano and let's see here. No, Johnny Gargano and did I talk about a Raw match on SmackDown? I'm gonna lose my mind. Yeah, I think I did. Johnny Gargano and Kevin Owens versus Alpha Academy. Yeah, Johnny Gargano and Kevin Owens win here. I think I talked about that as a SmackDown review. I'm losing it, guys. I'm losing it. But what else happened on Monday Night Raw? We got the Rollins versus Rey Mysterio match and the continuation of Dominic taunting his dad, which didn't work yet. Bianca Belair versus Io Sky, and Bianca Belair won that match. And I think that pretty much did it. And again, guys, I know we're all waiting on Bray Wyatt. It could be Extreme Rules, but they may stretch it out to the Logan Paul Roman Reigns match right after he beats Logan Paul. That's also a very strong possibility. You know, it's sad to say. I know some of you want it to be in the States. May or may not happen there. Okay, because if the zeros are long enough, WWE will do it. And that's just the kind of reality of life. Let's see. I had a couple notes here. I want to make sure that I got them. Oh, so I already talked about the tank with Shotzi. Somebody in the crowd had a hilarious sign, and I caught it very briefly, and I'm sure it was confiscated by security or whatever. So you know how Sheamus calls like a really good fight a banger? Somebody in the crowd created a sign, and I wish I got a screenshot of it, that said, "Bang her, but I hardly know her." I laughed. Oh my God. Okay, banger as in Banger, but he separated the words, and you guys know what that implies, obviously. So when I heard that, I saw that, I started laughing. I was like, who comes up with this stuff? And it looked like some teenage kid, of course, but it was hilarious. So if you want to go back and rewatch SmackDown, there is a moment during Sheamus's, I believe it's during his promo, talking to Imperium, and he had the shillelagh and all that. But somebody, it was on the camera side, had that sign. What a ingenious sign. I mean, sign of the year. Can we do that? Can we still do that? But all right. So thank you, everybody, for listening here. We are quickly growing, and I want to make sure that you stick around during the Extreme Rules week here. We're going to have a live show. I don't know when, but we'll have a live show maybe in and around the pay-per-view event. We've got a takeover show with Mr. and Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan for the mailbag this week. And we've got a Raw review coming on Tuesday. And Anthony DeMarco and I coming tomorrow night with the new current state of WWE. So good stuff, good stuff. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Take care, and I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.